Today we're going to be taking a look at the top automated campaigns for associations. Now, I wanted to start with this slide because last time, some of you may remember my colleague Kevin O'Brien spoke to you guys about the event promotions. So today we're going to be focusing on membership renewal campaigns. And I wanted to start with a bit of a background on myself. This way you guys have some understandings of my history here. So my name is Michael Hurley. I'm a marketing automation solutions advisor here at HireLogic, and directly prior to joining the HireLogic's team, I was actually part of the Informs team. So I worked with our clients to help them better engage with their members and subscribers via the email channel. Now, prior to that, I did work for an internet consulting firm, and we helped Fortune 500 clients better manage and strategize their domain name portfolios. So I have a background in understanding of how internet protocols, domain names, and email really all work together. So HireLogic came out in 2018 with the State of Marketing Automation for Associations report. And it's really the first report of its kind because it focuses primarily on the association space. Now, as many of you might know if you've downloaded this report on our website, that it delves into important topics like which types of automated campaigns are being run the most. And as part of this report, we surveyed associations to see how they were using these marketing automations. And the three most popular campaign types that they were using were event promotion, as Kevin spoke with you about in the last series, what we'll be discussing today, membership renewals, and finally, onboarding or new member welcome campaigns. So as I mentioned, today we're going to be focusing on those membership renewals. And, you know, I thought it was interesting and something that really jumped out at me that I found surprising when I first looked at the report was that less than 20% of associations are automating their membership renewal efforts. Retention is such an important part of an association's success that, to me, automating a renewal campaign is really a simple way for an association to see a direct impact on the time spent managing the renewals process and also the revenue brought in from these renewal campaigns. We've seen many associations that are automating this process save both time as well as increasing on that revenue. So today I wanted to walk you through some of the different strategies that we're seeing to see if you can get some ideas to use that might work with your team and your association. So VHMA, or the Veterinary Hospital Managers Association. VHMA, they were using a low-cost email provider to communicate with their members. There was no integration to their AMS system, Association Management System, which caused them really to struggle with process inefficiencies, and they also had a high level of concern around the quality of their data. They really ended up spending too much time kind of dealing with the data and building the campaigns that they weren't as effective as they could have been. The staff ultimately recognized that they could be doing a better job of this, or, you know, really, as I say, the team had the marketing automation mindset. However, they couldn't apply the different campaigns that they've built out in their minds because the technology just didn't allow it to happen, or it wasn't easy to happen. So they engaged with us here at HireLogic, and ultimately VHMA made the switch to HireLogic's marketing automation platform because of its seamless integration with their AMS system, Your Membership. Now, the integrated system improved on the data quality, and it enabled their team to plan out the membership campaigns much farther in advance. They actually set up the renewal campaigns to start 2 months prior to membership expiration, which allowed members to have enough time to go ahead and renew, but it wasn't too early that the emails were just ignored completely. And since the data automatically syncs from their AMS system into the marketing automation platform, the integration automatically adds members to the specific target group, so there's no need to pull lists from one system, export them out, and manually upload them into another. Now, VHMA, they have a member base that's made up of both individual and practice level memberships. So creating unique emails for each member was very time consuming for them. But this integration eliminated that challenge because they could customize the content of their messages based on different membership types or statuses that they were storing in your membership, their AMS system. So this new approach with the custom content, it ultimately led to better engagement with their emails. Open and click rates were much higher because members were seeing a personalized message that was relevant and resonated with them. Now, let's take a look at some of the results. So VHMA's staff, they now spend 50% less time managing their member campaigns, and they get them out much earlier than they used to. Instead of spending several hours per month managing the renewal efforts, they're now able to focus that time on different projects that are important. Their campaigns are also much more effective with this customized content, and it actually resulted in a 5% increase in year-over-year renewals. This strategy generated $18,000 in additional membership revenue. So those are the results specifically for VHMA. And now I'm sure you're thinking, well, this sounds great, but where in the world do I start here? So let's walk through a few different things that I think are important. So the first thing that I want to mention is that if you're not already using an integrated system, you should consider it. And if you are leveraging an integration, I want you to take a moment to think about how you're taking advantage of the data that you have at your fingertips to create these different customized automated renewal campaigns. Integrating your database, it's going to give you the ability to identify the right members for each campaign. So the integration, it's going to save you a lot of time because you aren't having to download the different lists from one system and upload them into another. And your data, it's going to be more up to date because that integration is going to allow it to be in a real-time fashion. Another huge benefit of an integration is it gives you the ability to personalize your messaging to increase conversion rates. So, for example, if you know that your members are taking advantage of specific member benefits, or maybe they're attending members-only events, or perhaps they're utilizing the different members-only discounts, this information is probably living somewhere in your AMS system, and this is the type of information that would be perfect to mention inside of a renewal campaign email. Remind those members that, hey, if you don't go ahead and renew with us, then you're going to lose access to these different perks that we know you're using. Now, of course, your campaign flow, it's going to be unique to the different needs of both your members and your association as a whole. So if we look at an example, let's think about if your members are a bit more active or they're engaging with you, so you have a higher level of engagement, you might not need to remind them about the membership renewal until, say, 30 days before it's up. But if you feel that you need to do a bit more nurturing, if that's the case, you might want to start at more of a 90-day mark to give yourself some time to nurture some of those members. Now, again, use the emails in your campaign to remind members about the value of membership. Make sure that you're customizing based on their activities, based on their different job roles, or even how we might be able to see if they're interacting with our website. If a member is active in your online community, but they're not renewing, make sure to remind them that, hey, you're going to lose access to that connection if we don't go ahead and have you renew. Or if a member is hitting perhaps a renewal page, but they're not processing that payment, well, let's go ahead and make sure we follow up with a reminder email. Web tracking can be a really powerful tool that can help you identify members who are close to renewing, but for some reason they're hitting some roadblocks along the way that we should probably give a bit more attention to. Now, once a member does renew, I always like to see that campaign flow directly into a welcoming them back sort of messaging. So a short campaign or series of messaging that says something along the lines of, hey, thanks for joining with us. Here's some different upcoming events that you might be interested to. And lastly, maybe even more importantly, let's remind them of those different reasons why they renewed. Now, of course, we might not have everybody come back with us and renew. So if we do have a number of folks that are not renewing, this might be a good time to, again, flow them directly into what I call a lapsed member campaign or a win-back campaign. Now, when I think of a win-back campaign, my mind immediately goes to AARC, the American Association of Respiratory Cares. Now, AARC, their membership was on somewhat of a downward trend, and they engaged with HireLogic and went ahead and implemented an integrated marketing automation system that ultimately won back 800 of their lapsed members for them in a short window of 45 days. So pretty impressive that they were able to win these folks back in such a short period of time, because this ultimately resulted in $64,000 in additional membership dues for them that year. So I think as I walk through some of those, hopefully you understood a couple of the different examples that I showed and that you got some value out of this. I would like now to spend a bit of time, I think we have about a minute or two, that I'd like to open it up for questions. So if you do have any questions for me that you'd like me to answer, go ahead and enter those into the question box at this time. Karen asks, do you integrate with Abila? Thanks for the question, Karen, and good question. Yes, so we do integrate specifically with Abila's NetForum Enterprise platform, as well as their NetForum Professional platform. Hopefully that answers your question. Another question coming in, how many emails should I have in my renewal campaign? Well, that's a great question. And I think that kind of goes back to, what makes the most sense for your members in your association. First thing that pops into my head, well, is your membership on a calendar year or is it on an anniversary date? Anniversary dates take a bit more work to do a tightly looked at or a useful automated campaign, because obviously the date's changing a lot. So sometimes those could be a longer campaign or other times shorter. It really depends on what you're doing and what your needs are. So I'd probably put that back on you to think about the different ways that your members are interacting, when the membership renewal is coming up, and how long before or how engaged they are. But thanks for the question. Good question. All right. I think we have time for one more question here. You mentioned web tracking. What is web tracking? Is it the same as Google Analytics? So yeah, so good question, and I'm glad that you caught my mention of web tracking, because to me that's really where the marketing automation channel can become really powerful. Once we can start to see, historically, and really where this differs than other tools is historically it's an open and a click that we're able to see. Now with the HireLogic marketing automation platform, we can now track to see, okay, if Mike clicked on a link in our email, where is Mike really ending up? Is he actually looking at the membership renewal section, or did he somehow end up on the events page? And if he did, what does that mean? What do we next want to serve up to them in the series or campaign? What's next to that individual? So I guess in a short answer, what is web tracking? Web tracking gives you the ability to see that digital footprint of your web traffic of people coming to your website and showing that engagement. The biggest difference that I see when you look at Google Analytics, which is a great platform, is that our web tracking is a bit more actionable. It allows you to see an individual and their behavior, tracking them from an email click over to the website. So a bit more of an actionable insight, I'd say, with our platform. But great question. Thanks for catching that. So there's quite a few questions coming in about where you guys can find a recording of this webinar. We will be putting a recording link, if you are a client of ours, in our HUG, the HireLogic user group. So you can go there, and I'll also be active in that community and answering any questions that might come up. So feel free to go to that if you're a client. But if not, I believe we will be following up after today's presentation, likely by tomorrow, with a recording of this webinar that you can access. And one other thing, I did mention the benchmark report, which we looked at for this presentation. If you want to get a copy of that, you can find that on our website, hirelogic.com, in the Resource Center. So we're just about out of time. I appreciate you guys joining on today, and thank you for the questions. I hope that you learned some things and that you can take away a few bits of strategy that you can bring back to your team. If you do have any other questions, and I'll go through a few of the other questions that I wasn't able to get to and respond back directly, but if you have any other questions, if you want to reach out to me, my email address is up on the screen now. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation. Thanks for joining, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday afternoon.